In Mark of the Ninja, you'll know what it is to truly be a ninja. You must be silent, agile, and clever to outwit your opponents in a world of gorgeous scenery and flowing animation. Welcome to episode 51 of the 5 T's of Stealth, where we will be discussing Mark of the Ninja Remastered. Once again, the 5 T's include tasks, terrain, tools, threats, and tension. These are what I consider to be the fundamentals of stealth gaming. The story here has to be the weakest part of the experience. That isn't to say it's bad, but it's very simplistic. I don't believe the protagonist's name is revealed, but they are referred to as the champion at least once or twice. I will mostly refer to them simply as the ninja. The ninja starts the game by freeing his clan from a mercenary group. At this time, and throughout the entire game, the ninja is joined by a female ninja named Aura, who guides him on missions. The leader of the Hisomu clan, Asai, basically declares war on this group and explains how he asked the ninja to take on the mark. This mark, or tattoo, is created with a special type of ink from a particular flower, which gives the bearer of the mark special abilities at the cost of their sanity. Every ninja who has taken the mark has vowed to take their own life before they could do harm to their clan. The ninja is referred to as the champion at this time, but it is later revealed that past ninjas who took on the mark were known as the Severed. I really like this little detail since it shows how that person, while becoming the hero, also becomes shunned in a way. With his clan freed, the ninja now begins his pursuit of Karajan, the head of the mercenary group. However, after eliminating the mercenary leader and returning home, it becomes clear that Azai had some ulterior motives and has now equipped the clan with high-tech weaponry stolen from the mercs. Dosan, the one who applied the ink, leaves a note detailing these ulterior motives and his plan to find what Azai is hiding by traveling to the location of the special flower. The ninja tracks down Dosan, and it is revealed that the special flowers used for the ink had been dead for a while. Dosan is then killed by stalkers, Azai's new high-tech ninjas, as the ninja escapes and heads back to the ninja temple. Upon his return, the ninja starts to hallucinate due to the effects of the ink, and instead of seeing ninjas, he continues to see the mercs he's been fighting all game. Once the ninja confronts Azai, the clan leader tries to convince him that he is simply hallucinating, and his female companion has been a lie all this time. Now the player has a decision to make: kill Aura, who has been with you all game, or kill Azai. So again, not a bad story, but a simple one. A mercenary group attacks your ninja clan, you go take down their leader on the orders of your own, but he turns out to be scheming and you take him down too. In terms of the actual mission structure, things are definitely a bit more exciting. Of course, there is a lot of killing, and there will be missions focused on eliminating a target. However, there is plenty of variety. One mission consists of sabotaging the gas main in a building and proceeding to open all the interior vents to let the gas spread. You then exit to the rooftop and cause an ignition of the gas, then run like hell as the building burns. Another mission will have you collecting keys to unlock certain doors on your way to a high priority target. Another mission has you tracking a certain merc who has the tracker for the merc boss. So you have to follow him, then when he's alone, take him down and take the tracker. However, taking the tracker starts an alarm, so once more you have to run like hell as the alarms start going crazy. One last example: when Dosan goes to investigate the flowers, he is captured by bandits. You have to recover his tools and find the keys to unlock his chains. There's also some very minor puzzling in this game, which basically just consists of flipping a switch or hiding on a moving platform to dodge guards. There is one additional mission that is not part of the story called Dosan's Tale. In this mission, you play as Dosan in the past, heading to the bandit camp to send a message about betrayal. The bandits wanted to take the flower for themselves, and you kind of have to go set them straight. I should also mention on each level there are scrolls to be collected and optional challenges to be completed. Collecting scrolls and completing challenges will give you extra skill points. I did not care to collect most of the scrolls, but some of the optional challenges were enjoyable. I'm definitely a big fan of the level design in this title. One of the most important things to me is always the creativity available in each encounter, and I always felt like I had a handful of options at any given moment. These options came from a variety of sources. You could grapple between platforms, trees, or other grapple points. You could use the vents to sneak between rooms and find optimal paths or attack opportunities. You could even keep it as simple as walking down a path and jumping into a variety of hiding spots available such as behind statues, in trash cans, or hidden behind certain doors. Another huge option which ties into the tools a lot is simply climbing on the walls and ceilings. Not every wall or ceiling could be climbed on, but it felt like most could. This allows you to just hang from the ceiling and watch your enemies waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Personally, I enjoyed just hanging on the wall right above a door, then pouncing on a guy as he walks through. You just have so many options. There are a ton of other minor mechanics, such as locked doors or vents, opening and closing doors, pressure plates that unlock doors or trigger traps, light switches, levers that move platforms, movable boxes, droppable chandeliers, and even obstacles that are invisible in the darkness but revealed when hit by a light source. Again, the point I'm trying to get across is that you have a ton of options. However, these options aren't always safe. Later in the game, you'll come across faulty grapple points that fall a few seconds after you grapple to them, or even walls that fall apart as you climb them, revealing your location. There are also a ton of environmental hazards that you will come across later in the game, specifically in the bandit area. There are traps all over this decaying area, and even a raging sandstorm that limits your vision while outside. These traps include explosives hanging by ropes that you can actually knock down, chains tied to falling boulders or other traps, and arrow traps scattered all over. There's even a train you have to dodge at the end of the game, which is pretty fun, and poisonous air in the catacombs, which affects your pathing. A mechanic that is slowly becoming one of my favorites is the use of lightning as a light source. This was present in Origami and is now present in some of the missions for this game. I love having an extra repeating mechanic to worry about, and there were many times that I would forget about the lightning and just end up ruining this perfect plan I had in my head. I want to start this section of the review by explaining my favorite mechanic of the entire game, even though it's probably not the best starting point. My absolute favorite thing in this game is the fear mechanic. That's right, people, you can terrorize your enemies. I didn't think much of this at first when I saw it in a loading screen or something like that, but once I put it into practice, I was completely blown away. Let's start with what happens when you terrorize an enemy, then as we discuss the rest of the abilities throughout this section, I will mention what can cause this fright. When you terrorize an enemy, you will see them actively shaking and hear the panic in their voice as they begin to fire their weapon. Yes, that is correct. Once scared, guards just start shooting. And yes, this can kill their allies. The terrorized guard will continuously look back and forth, trying to make sure you don't sneak up on them, and even do a quick cartoonish backwards walk and slip as they panic back to their feet. As you can imagine, I love to terrorize a guard or two and let them take care of their friends for me, then take them down once the work was done. Let's talk basics before diving deeper into the mechanics of this game. General movement feels great with a sprint and a jump. Sprinting is loud and will give away your position. You can also climb on walls and ceilings, giving you even more options. You can even sprint up the walls, and honestly, that's just so cool. Another basic mechanic for the ninja is the grappling hook, which can be used on designated grapple points. Landing on certain grapple points will also cause some noise, so you have to be careful if guards are around. You can also perform the spider dangle from select grapple points, which allows you to slowly descend from a chain face first. Accompanying the use of sound is of course the use of light. In the shadows you are invisible, and in the light you are easy pickings. The ninja has a few kicks and punches, but more importantly, there is a stealth takedown mechanic. I always love a good stealth takedown, and here there is a bit of a twist. When you activate any stealth takedown, the game will ask you to move your mouse in a certain direction. If you move the correct way, the takedown is silent, but if you do not, it's a loud and miserable kill. This mechanic is constant, and many of the techniques you can unlock require you to swipe up or down, typically depending on which way your body is moving. You can even pull off a stealth kill from a vent and pull the corpse back in with you. After taking down an enemy, you can move their body to hide it, preventing any alarms. When in a hiding spot, you can lean in the direction of another hiding spot, then quickly move between the two at the press of a button. This is pretty similar to a cover moving mechanic that you see in many games, such as Splinter Cell Blacklist. As I mentioned earlier, there are locked doors and vents, which of course means you have a lockpick. Lockpicking in this game is extremely simple, only requiring you to press and hold a button while a circle completes. Early on, you will unlock darts. These are a projectile that deal no damage to enemies, but can be used to break lights, distract enemies, or drop chandeliers. The first mark grants you the ability to focus, which makes it seem as though time has frozen, and during this time, you can line up your throws. The next mark grants farsight, which allows you to see enemies through walls and see what switches are connected to what electronics. The final mark, which is unlocked towards the end of the game, is the Mark of Serenity, which is basically a teleport. However, I think the game describes it as you moving so incredibly fast that it seems as if you are teleporting. Alright, I think that's all the basics and miscellaneous mechanics, so let's break down the skill tree available in this game. If I'm not mistaken, you can unlock 9 skill points in each level. 3 for scrolls, 3 for optional seals, and 3 for your total score. I couldn't tell you the actual category of each seal, but they each tend to follow a specific theme. If you complete enough seals of a certain type, I believe it's just 3, you will unlock a new style which can be equipped in the loadout. I didn't test out any of these different styles since they seemed very focused on one thing or another, so I only used what the game does by default. I will list off these styles, but before I do so, I'd like to discuss the 3 sections of the skill tree: techniques, distraction items, and attack items. The different styles will have an impact on these things, so I'd like to discuss them first for clarity. Let's start with techniques. These are all your fancy stealth takedowns as well as general upgrades. There are 14 total upgrades, and I will now read them off for you. Hangman's Hymn. While dangling from a grapple point, you can grab an enemy and string them up. Emperor's Abyss. While standing or hanging directly below an enemy, you can pull them to an early grave. Twilight Gate. Lean against a door, then pull an enemy through the door and to their death. Bat's Prey. While hanging on the ceiling or atop a perch point, you can target enemies with a deadly stealth kill from above. A Brief Shadow. Assassinate unsuspecting enemies while concealed in a hiding spot. Bloody Whisper. Quickly and silently stealth kill a disabled enemy. Rising Snake. Perform a spinning kick, launching an enemy into the air. Slide Kick. While sprinting, slide into enemies to knock them off their feet. Superior Lockpicks. Just, lockpick faster. Grim Harbinger. While dragging a body, target a perch point to hang the body from it. Softened Cloth Tabby. Upgrade your footwear to lessen, but not silence, the noise you make when running. Parachute Cloth. While falling or jumping, you can slow your descent. Armored Sleeves and Reinforced Cloth, both of which just grant extra protection. A lot of these names are pretty badass, which is why I wanted to read them all out to you like this. It's also extremely satisfying to see these names pop up while playing. For example, jumping out from a vent underneath a guy and seeing Emperor's Abyss pop on the screen is lit. There are 2 main techniques here I want to discuss, which are Hangman's Hymn and Grim Harbinger. These 2 techniques are the pinnacle of terror. That's right, folks, I'm bringing it back to the terrorize mechanic. Both of these techniques involve hanging a corpse from a grapple point, and if you are able to get another guard to see them, they will absolutely lose their minds. Typically, I would simply stand atop the grapple point and throw a dart at a guard before quickly grappling away, which would cause them to look at that spot and see the corpse, prompting the terror. Next up, distraction items. I'm sure you could make this assumption, but these are items that distract but do not necessarily directly harm enemies. Once again, I will list these off for you along with their upgrades. Number 1, Noisemaker. This is a small firecracker that can bait guards and when upgraded, enables a custom fuse for remote detonation. Number 2, Smoke Bomb. This item blocks line of sight and blocks laser tripwires. Once upgraded, the smoke bomb adds a choking powder which disables enemies within it unless they are wearing a gas mask. Number 3, Distraction Flare. An alchemical light that draws the attention of nearby guards facing the flare and blinds guards wearing night vision goggles. Just like the Noisemaker, the flare upgrade allows for remote detonation. Number 4, Cardboard Box. This provides a hiding spot as long as you aren't moving, and the upgrade unlocks a unique stealth kill. Number 5, Dusk Moths. A cloud of insects that blocks targeted lights and disables struck enemies. There is no upgrade for this item. The Dusk Moths can only be unlocked by playing through the DLC mission Dosan's Tale. Personally, I didn't end up using these distraction items very often, and pretty much decided to save my skill points and not upgrade them. In fact, I never even tried the flare. Let's wrap this up with the attack items. Attack items again are pretty self-explanatory. These items kill guards or negatively impact them in other ways. I will list them off for you now. Number 1, Spike Mine. This is a mine that thrusts spikes upwards at the first guard that walks over them. However, it makes noise when thrown, so you can't throw it too close to guards. Once upgraded, the mines no longer make noise when they hit the ground. Number 2, Hisomu Terror Dart. This is a dart that immediately terrorizes its target. Once upgraded, the Terror Dart will also cause the target to kill themselves after a short timer. Number 3, Caltrops. These small spikes temporarily stun anyone who steps on them. There is no upgrade. Number 4, Ravenous Insects. These insects can quietly reduce a corpse to dust or noisily devour a living enemy. There is no upgrade. Number 5, Fungal Spores. This item creates a suffocating cloud around the target and infects the body, causing the spores to rupture again if anyone approaches. There is no upgrade. The fungal spores are the Dosan's Tail extra item, so make sure you complete the DLC to unlock them. So the first thing to talk about is the Terror Dart, and you might think right away that I'd be obsessed with this attack item. I literally started the tools section by saying how much I love the fear mechanic present in this game. However, this dart lessens that impact. The beauty of the terror is the setup required to make it happen. If you really want to scare a hardened mercenary, then you've got to show him a gruesome sight. However, this dart is just throw and woohoo, he's terrorized. It's definitely still fun and I like it, but again, it lessens the impact. The upgrade, however, is absurd. If a guard witnesses another guard blow his brains out, he will become terrorized. This baby can literally cause chain reactions, which is super cool. The spike mine can also be used to terrorize a guard if they see an ally get taken out by it. It's a pretty crazy visual watching these long spikes ascend from this little trap and puncture a guy, so I don't blame them. I liked the Caltrops for some trickery. There was one interaction in particular with a stalker, which is an enemy we will discuss soon. There was a spike trap in the room, so I threw Caltrops on it and baited the stalker to walk over them, causing a temporary stun and the activation of the trap. The ravenous insects I only used a couple times, but watching them eat a man alive was absurd. In fact, I bet that would terrorize a guard if they witnessed it, but I can't confirm. The last item, the fungal spores, were a delight in the DLC. An item that not only kills a guy, but also infects his body, leading to another kill, is extremely satisfying. Alright, this is taking way longer than anticipated, so let's go back to the different styles, then move on with the review. So, the default path of the ninja gives you the default loadout. This includes a sword, one distraction item, and one attack item. The next style you will gain throughout the story is the Path of the Mark. This enables the use of the Mark of Serenity, or the teleport, but you lose your distraction item. Next up, the Path of Might. You have reinforced armor for extra protection and knock down opponents faster, with stealth kills restoring health. However, focus no longer stops time. Next, the Path of the Hunter. With this style, you can carry 2 different attack items, which means no distraction items, and all stealth kills automatically succeed. This means you don't have to swipe a direction during a stealth kill. However, with this style, items will not be replenished at checkpoints. Next, the Path of Silence. This is definitely for those who like to ghost in stealth games. Running makes no noise, and 2 distraction items can be carried, however, you lose your sword. Next, the Path of Nightmares. I actually did not unlock this style during my playthrough, and went back to get it for this review. Honestly, I'm a little bummed about that fact, since I would seriously consider using this loadout. With this style, enemies witnessing stealth kills become terrified, as do those that discover a dead body. However, you cannot equip any distraction items. This is the absolute perfect setup for me. First of all, as I've mentioned, I am obsessed with the terrorize mechanic. Secondly, I love using dead bodies as bait in stealth games. I would love to create absolute chaos with this set, and perhaps I'll do a New Game Plus run just to try it out. The final style is Dosan style and unlocked by completing the DLC. This is the Path of Wisdom. You have a non-lethal takedown and carry more of each of your items. However, you have no sword, you cannot use Farsight, and focus will not stop time. I really liked this setup for a change of pace in the DLC, and the non-lethal takedowns were brutal. Your basic enemies are the trained mercenaries that attacked your clan, as well as some bandits in the later missions and other ninjas. Detection reminds me a lot of Gunpoint. In the dark, you are invisible and can get absurdly close, even to the point of completing a stealth takedown in their face. But if you even step foot in the light, someone is bound to see you, sometimes from pretty far away. It didn't feel super consistent, but occasionally guards would detect me through a vent, and you will sometimes come across a sleeping dog or guard. I hesitate to call it a vision cone since that's not really what it is, but enemies have like a light on their helmets that shines in a cone in front of them. The basic mercenaries or bandits are equipped with assault rifles. Next up, there are dogs in this game. I find it funny when dogs are added in a stealth game because they seem to be one of the scariest MFers around or completely irrelevant. In Mark of the Ninja, they scare the crap out of me. If nothing else, they completely alter my flow, and I love that. Dogs can smell you, meaning hiding is useless. Dogs will attack you, but the scarier part is their incredible detection that will alert the entire room. You do not kill dogs, you only knock them out. Aside from dogs, there are a couple more animals in the form of rats and birds, but these are basically just there to create sound and potentially give away your position if you get too close. Some enemies will be equipped with a massive shield. They cannot be attacked head on. These enemies will also shoot a flare when they are alerted, illuminating an area. Next are snipers, and they're always dangerous. Snipers hit hard and I believe can see you in the dark. Following that, there are elite guards who have to be disabled before you can attack them. These guys are probably the closest thing I've experienced to the heavily armored knights and sticks. I think I just used this line with Arkham Knight talking about the minigun brutes, but it's even more applicable in this game. You literally cannot kill these guys until you do something to mess them up first. This can be something simple like using an item or environmental effects, but nonetheless, there are extra steps required. This is always terrifying in stealth games, and I love the change of pace. I think my favorite thing to do, however, was just throw the ravenous insects at them and move on. The final enemies present are the stalkers. These are the high-tech ninjas hunting you down. The stalkers can do just about everything you can. You'll watch them go through vents, and I think even grapple when they're moving around. However, the most dangerous aspect is their detection radius. Stalkers have a giant green circle around them, and walking within that circle will alert them to your presence. Next, let's talk security. In many levels, there are lasers that will slice you apart, tripwires that will activate a turret, or even motion sensors that will also activate a turret or alarm. I mentioned them earlier, but there are a ton of traps or environmental effects that are absolutely still threatening, such as lightning, the toxic air of the catacombs, etc., etc. There are two things that I forgot to mention. Number one, the lasers or tripwires a lot of the time are set to detect the guards and will turn off when they are passing by. This means that if you kill one and drag their corpse through the laser, it will shut off for you. Number two, if you knock out a guard instead of killing them, they can be woken back up by an ally. Mark of the Ninja can definitely be challenging at times, but I would never really call it a super difficult game. More realistically, I think it hits the sweet spot of keeping you engaged, but not requiring you to restart constantly. If you want to make the game harder, you can try to complete all the optional objectives, but even that's not a huge difference. With all that said, this game almost always had me on the edge of my seat. There were countless moments where I was taking down all the guards in a room little by little, barely avoiding detection. I will say there is a bit of a difficulty jump whenever elite guards or stalkers are involved, since they change the flow so drastically. However, dogs might provide the biggest change of pace or challenge simply because they find you so easily. I can't tell you how many times I'd be sweating, watching the pathing of a dog, waiting for the precise moment to strike. Those little bastards definitely scare me the most. In other words, the enemy design present definitely keeps the entire experience very engaging. You don't just continue to bully the same basic guards throughout the entire game. I think another big element to this tension is the trap design. You're typically not only dodging enemies, but also all the lasers or spikes present in the room, which requires you to be even more precise. I talked about precision in my review of Time Lie, and that is a word that I want to apply to this game as well. You need to be precise in a lot of situations in order to avoid everything in the room that wants you dead. This could be simply changing which side of a moving platform you're hiding on so the guards don't see you, or even jumping across falling grapple points and dodging pressure plates so the arrow traps don't activate. Precision, again, is a word I would like to use for Mark of the Ninja, but compared to Time Lie, it's nowhere close. Time Lie is still the precision king. I think the other major element to the engaging nature of this game would be the options available to your character. It reminds me a lot of Origami, since everything you do is just so stylish and so cool. However, in this game, you don't feel so insanely overpowered like in Origami. I've gotta be honest. The first 90 minutes of this game really did not impress me. I was playing through it, and it was one of those situations where everything was good, but it just wasn't clicking. You know when you experience something and it just checks all the boxes, but you're just left thinking, I should like this more than I do. Why don't I like this more? That's pretty much where I was at. I think what immediately got me out of this slump was all those additional options. Once I started activating stealth kills from anywhere and everywhere, the game really started to click. It basically left me with the conclusion that this is an incredible game once you get the flow down and unlock all your abilities, which expands your options. This really helped open my eyes. Once I was hooked, I never looked back. I do have one minor disappointment I want to discuss, however. The game uses the idea of the ninja hallucinating at the end of the game very briefly. I believe I first realized this because of an optional challenge which required killing 3 hallucinations in 15 seconds. This got me pretty hyped up for some trippy shenanigans. However, the hallucinations, as I mentioned earlier, just turned out to be the ninjas of the clan appearing as regular mercs. This feels like a wasted opportunity, since the premise is way more exciting than the actual implementation. Let's talk about terror one more time. I am absolutely obsessed with the fear mechanic. You're telling me that I can hang a guy on a grapple point, then bait his buddy into looking, which will cause him to completely freak out, and start spraying his gun, potentially killing more of his allies? What the hell? That's awesome. There were so many times that I just stopped to set up some crazy chain reaction and just watched all the bodies drop like dominoes while slowly stalking the feared enemy, waiting for his usefulness to wear out. God, I loved it so much. But saying it out loud makes me seem like a bit of a psychopath, huh? From what I have seen, Mark of the Ninja is considered to be one of the all-time greats in the world of stealth, and is overwhelmingly positive on Steam. This led me to develop pretty high expectations, but they were completely shattered once I really got immersed into the flow of this game. With the stylishness of origami, the precision of time lie, and a fear mechanic that I will not soon forget, Mark of the Ninja finds itself near the tip of the top of the top of the tip of the stealth genre as far as I am concerned.